Hello everybody and welcome to the Sovereign Village Project. One of the main tenets of permaculture that really makes life a lot easier is that every problem is a solution. And it's a mindset that you start with as you approach farming or whatever it is you're approaching, building a homestead, building a house. Every time you come up with a problem, there's a solution ingrained in it. And I got a little example of that today. The problem is that the chickens have figured out that Holly chewed through the wire on this and that this is no longer an electric fence. So to them, it's just a really fun barrier to fly over. So as a result, we've had about a dozen hens running around just decimating this landscape. They've mainly stuck to about a quarter-acre area around the house, and they've gone through all of the potted plants that are staged awaiting planting, and all of the things I'd planted, all of the different seeds I have planted in the yard, and all of the shrubby areas where it's just growing wild and forested. But I've not actually, I decided not to put them back in. I decided to take the hit, let them eat whatever they're going to eat. I don't really need help with this, buddy. Let them eat what they're going to eat and observe. And I've been observing, and it's been an incredibly valuable few days. Definitely worth the loss of a few plants, because I've been able to observe what they're eating, what they like and what they don't. And that's really critical as I plan out how I'm going to plant out this 5-acre property. I really want to design it for as much livestock forage as I can, particularly for chickens, because we don't know what's going to happen to the grain supply chains, but we should be breaking away from that anyway. The style of farming where you truck in a bunch of grains from the Midwest where they destroy the land completely in the process of doing so, that's not sustainable or regenerative farming. That's not going to work for very long. And of course that seems to be ending anyway. That era of cheap, easy grain for your animals and hay is probably coming to an end for a lot of people in a lot of markets. So we have to figure out our own food sources, and it's important to think way beyond grass and things like that. There's a million ways to feed chickens. Chickens will eat anything. It's just that some things are higher protein or higher nutrition, and they're going to gravitate towards those. So I've been watching what they're eating. They seem to really enjoy the poke, which is great because poke grows wild. And it's medicinal. It's a food source for humans when properly treated, because it's also poisonous if not used correctly. Although, you know, that poisonous effect makes you have diarrhea and vomiting. That may be actually a treatment for something in some cases. So, incredibly useful plant. You can use it for dyes, and the chickens love it, and it grows like a weed because it is a weed here. So, excellent plant. Great. I'm going to grow more of that. Some of the plants I haven't even identified. I don't quite know what this plant is here, but absolutely everything on the lower chicken range of this bush has been eaten. So I'm definitely going to identify it, and I'm going to save all of these seeds, and there's tons of seeds. And I'm going to be planting this guy everywhere because clearly the chickens like it. And I suspect this would change with seasons too. Different seasons, different things are going to do better. He really likes to be in videos. And so this is a tactic that really everybody should do if possible, whether it's sheep or cattle or chickens or ducks. It really doesn't matter. Livestock should be let loose and just observe and really watch what they're getting into. Really watching the chickens the last few days, I've also noticed where they're digging. I've noticed they spend a lot of time down there in the forest, and they get a massive amount of food from what's underneath the leaf layer. Of course, they also kind of decimate that leaf layer. They scratch up everything, and they really disturb that ecosystem. So that would have to be carefully planned out. And you would have to do some kind of rotational grazing to make sure they didn't just stay in the area. Otherwise, they turn everything into this. This is not their doing. This was already hard dirt from the excavator, but that's what they turn a green area into, is dirt if they're confined in too small a space. But for rotational grazing and for planting of both wild and domesticated foods, this is very important. I've been able to see what they liked out of my plants. For example, I had a lot of mulberry plants ready for planting, and I've heard that mulberry leaves are great forage. And maybe they are, but they've actually left them alone. I'm trying to find an example of one. They've largely left those mulberry leaves alone, so I may not treat that so much as a forage plant. They've also left my willow alone, although that one's higher up, so that's not a complete experiment yet. But anyway, I don't want to get into the specifics of it because I'm going to do a lot of research and a lot more observing over time. But the point being, there are a lot of wild foods as well as domesticated foods that chickens are going to love and get a lot of nutrition and protein and filler from. So letting any kind of animal out and just observing what it eats over the course of a few days could really change how you design your entire farm. Like the poke, you may find bushes or plants that are easy, low to no maintenance, that feed your flock or feed your herd. And that can really help you build a system that is completely, truly self-sufficient, not reliant on failing grain systems. So I hope that's helpful for y'all in how you design your property. In the meantime, stay safe, be well. If you're coming to the Back to the Land Festival, I will see you tomorrow or Saturday. I'm very excited for that. We have been working absolutely around the clock to get that ready. So we will be tired, but we will be excited and we will be there, and look forward to seeing y'all. In the meantime, everybody, stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.